This is a very interesting situation because this is something that I've seen time and time again with other creators on the internet. And this person is not the only person who has done this, but this was just the most recent one that I have heard about. One of you guys sent this over. And I just kind of wanted to talk about situations where there are large creators who claim that they have drawn things that they allegedly didn't draw. So let's delve into this situation. And again, don't contact, don't send hate, don't bully anybody mentioned because that's not cool. That only makes you very, very lame, in fact. And I also want to add that with a lot of situations, there is a lot of nuance, okay? On the internet, a lot of times we like to view things as black and white, as in this person is either good or this person is bad, and they can't be anything in between. But absolute newsflash, human beings are vastly different creatures, and we exist on various shades of gray. There's going to be people who are, according to you, better, and there's going to be people that you determine to be worse, but very likely they fall somewhere on a scale and it's not just one black and white, good or bad. Where the reason why I'm saying this is you can have a person who has done a lot of good in one instance do something that you would kind of scratch your head and be like, this is a bit odd. So let's get into the situation. We have this creator. They are a very, very large creator on Instagram with like over 1 million followers. I'm not very familiar with their content because I've never heard of them prior to today, but it seems like they do a lot of activism work, like standing up for children who are being exploited, people who have gone through very unfortunate circumstances. It sounds like they, at the hands of like a previous individual, has also experienced things. So we can acknowledge that like all the activism work they do is really good, right? But also at the same time, they have this video that led to a whole other situation with their audience. It's like a makeup transition video, block their face. But as you can see in the bottom, we have this little art piece. And it's a little transition video where they kind of show themselves without makeup and they do a little transition and then boom, they end up with the same makeup and hair look as that image featured down below. And what is interesting is this person captioned the video, "One of my favorite looks, no AI used." And a lot of people in the comments were kind of scratching their head because people were like, hey, does anybody have the speed paint? Because I really want to believe her, but I just can't. And other people were asking for the speed paints. And there's a lot of people blindly defending this creator, saying things like, these comments are me when I don't read the caption. You guys with zero reading skills, she drew it with her own hands. Like, you guys know she would never do that. And like, of course, right? If you have been following a creator for a very long time and you see the creator do a lot of good in terms of the content they're putting out, you're going to want to be on their side. That is something that you see happen a lot. It's admirable to have belief and you want to look at the positive side in situations that happen. But on the other side, sometimes it can come to a situation where you ignore all pieces of evidence that point to the contrary in the desire to be fully faithful, which I guess it depends whether you like that or not, I guess. But if you objectively look at this art piece and take a closer look, and like I always say, right, a lot of times you have to look at multiple art pieces from somebody to fully determine AI generated or not. This art piece has a lot of aspects that look very AI generated. It has that AI style. Now, again, like I said many, many times, right, AI steals from real artists. So as a result, right, real artists will have the AI style, but it's because AI stole from them, not the other way around. This person on their page hasn't posted any other artwork except this. So we don't actually have any other artwork to compare to. And when that is the case, when we have a situation where somebody has no other examples of artwork except one art piece that looks super AI style, it makes me feel a little bit suspicious as to whether the art piece was legitimately created or AI generated. Because typically, if an artist has an AI style, they've been doing it for a really long time, way before AI existed. And so when people were creating generative AI, they trained AI on their works. And looking at this art piece specifically, I personally see a lot of tells that make me suspect AI generation was used, contrary to what the creator said. And I want to believe the creator and believing the fact they didn't use generative AI, but my eyeballs are just telling me something different. The really big one, again, is like when you look at the clothing, when you ask the question, would a human draw this, right? The flowers have some tells to me that indicate some sort of AI generation. Because we have flowers that look like this. Here, let me make it darker so you can see, right? Where it's just like 3 petals like that. I'm not saying you can't draw flowers like that, but when you ask the question, would a human draw flowers like that, or would they draw it in the standard, you know, like 5-petal method that literally every other flower for the most part has, except that one and some of the flowers you can see here, it does have me scratching my head a little bit. Another one is like the error in continuity in some of the pieces, because here we have one ear shaped like this. This ear, you know, we see it curve inwards, and then there's like another chunk of the ear that looks like it should be visible between the curls of the hair, which would imply that she has elf ears. She does not. It's not featured on the other ear. Another one is the hair. We have little wispy hair strands kind of coming out from the side of the hair, which is completely normal and something you'll find in some people's art styles. But we have phantom strands of hair floating. Like this strand, for instance, is disconnected and it just floats out here. And then we have this and there's like a gap here. It could be human error, or it could also be due to AI generating it incorrectly. A big one as well is the shadows. And one thing you will find is that AI is like incapable of making the shadows follow the hair strands and other elements correctly, where typically somebody who can draw a piece at this level would be able to make the shadows follow the hair. And what I mean by this is right here, this front piece, it's only one single strand of hair. So why do we have like 1, 2, 3 shadows underneath this hair? Same thing for this strand of hair. This is like 2 strands of hair that like connect into one to make another piece for the baby bang. If you look at the chunk of hair, right, the chunk of hair kind of follows like this, and we have a little bit of a gap here. But the 2 shadows are making like weird S's. We got one shadow doing this. It doesn't follow the hair. We have another one doing this. And you see it again with this part of the baby bang, and you'll see it again here with these parts of the baby bangs as well. You could argue it's a style choice, but it has me scratching my head a little bit as to why this choice was made. And then there's also irregularities in the hair as well, because we have some hair strands coming out, and then we've got some like zigzaggy actions happening here, and then they continue on into more, you know, strands of curly hair. Same thing with here. We just have like this, and then a little G drawn in here, and then we have more hair coming out this way. I'm not saying you can't draw hair like that, but it does have me scratching my head a little bit. It's giving a lot of AI tells. And just play a game. Just find like one strand of hair and try to follow it down, and you'll see that it starts splitting into like a lot of random strands of hair. Like we have this, and then it kind of becomes this, and then we kind of have this happening, and then this goes on to be another chunk, and then we get this. The continuity of the hair doesn't particularly make sense to me, and that's something that you'll see with AI generated works, where when you look really, really closely, the hair doesn't make any sense anymore. There's no continuity to it. Things start bleeding into each other. That's something that you'll see very commonly with Gen AI. They made another Instagram reel where they had a lot of text in the beginning, but I don't want to show their face, right? But they write, and I don't use AI. I have hobbies like every other person and make my own drawings amongst other things. Just unfollow me and leave me alone if you can't comprehend basic explanations. I'll post my drawings sped up for y'all on my story, since that's cool content too. So here, they insist that they drew it themselves and that they don't use AI. They insist again they don't use AI. Personally, I want to believe them. I really do. But my eyes are telling me another story, and my eyes are telling me that this image is not handmade as much as I want to believe it is. And I can't find the speed paint anymore in its entirety, but another creator had actually made a video talking about this, and they put the speed paint in their video. So let's take a look at this.
I was wrong, but because I've never been confronted with that amount of mass stupidity in my life. Oh my god. I'm gonna try to break this down for you in a way that's not complicated, I guess, because the video was never about the use or ethics of AI. I made a video with this picture in it, and people were asking, oh, who's the artist? Where is this from? Did you draw it? Da da da. And she claimed that she drew the picture, that people shouldn't be upset. People shouldn't question her. The picture has a synth ID, a verifiable invisible digital watermark that was made in order to identify AI-generated images.
So, is that true? Does the image have a synth ID? Like, I don't like checking images for synth IDs, but for the sake of verifying it, right? Because this is a claim, you know, I don't want to just like take at face value. It has a synth ID in it. A synth ID is literally a watermark that's invisible to the human eye that AI generating platforms will put in images so that you can verify it's AI generated. Synth IDs, in my opinion, are a whole separate problem, because it's the whole situation of, oh, create a problem, they gen AI images, sell you a solution, synth ID, and then force it to use their product. You know, I hate that. But in the case of a situation where we're determining, is this person lying or telling the truth, right? Double checked it. There's a synth ID in there. So that is not handmade, bro.
And it's very easy to tell as well. When people were, questioning her about it, she said she drew it herself, to not question her about it, that people are trying to misunderstand her. She made a whole thing about how people were saying that she's been cloned or kidnapped, and how she had to clarify that she wasn't. Then she created a whole fake speed paint in which she traces over the AI image without sketch layer, with like line art coming out of nowhere. She posted on her story that most people didn't even see because it was gone within 24 hours. And when people were like, that's not okay, or we don't know what's happening, or did you use Snapchat, she deleted the comments and blocked them apparently. She actively gaslit and attempted to manipulate thousands, if not millions of people that follow her, especially younger people that were coming on my page saying that if I disagree with her, I agree with pedophilia. Guys, I was never even trying to come at her or anything. I said that in the caption that I'm not hating. I was a follower. That's why I noticed these things and I was like, yo, what is going on? Instead, I was met with hate, bullying, and harassment of people saying that, oh, it's okay to use AI. So even you don't believe that she drew the picture. That was the point of the video, that she tried to gaslight everybody. The reason why this matters is because she used to post about really important subjects that she would constantly accidentally spread misinformation about. I always see this and chalk this up to she's not a professional. Sometimes people make mistakes. If you're going to blatantly lie, try to manipulate and gaslight people over something this obvious, that hurts your credibility as somebody who's supposed to report on serious subjects, and now you're unreliable. That was the point of the video.
Also, on a complete side note, I do find the statement of like, I don't use AI, an interesting statement to make from this creator specifically. Again, I'm saying this not to be shady, but just to make a point that I don't know anything about this person as an individual. I don't know their likes and dislikes. I don't know their favorite color. I only know what I see. And so what I see, I just think it's a bit interesting that they make a statement of, I don't use AI. And in their bio, they link an AI Quran chat buddy. I personally am not religious. If you want to use apps to help practice your religion, more power to you. I don't like generative AI. I don't support it. So I wouldn't use this, but I'm also not religious. So I'm not the target audience. But this is an AI powered companion. So that is also hypocritical to say, in my opinion. I want again for you guys to hear me and don't use this as a situation to go and attack and bully this creator. Do not contact them. That makes you an asshole. But this is something that I have just seen across the board in the creator sphere. And this is just one creator, right? Where like they'll use generative AI and claim they've drawn it, which is very interesting when it's pretty obvious they didn't. And again, every situation is very nuanced and people are nuanced. People are not black and white. Again, I don't agree with the sentiment of you either are a good person or a bad person and that's it. People exist in a myriad of varieties. You can have people that typically make good decisions, make one bad decision. You can have people who make a lot of bad decisions, make some good decisions, you know? It's all a range at the end of the day. And can this be a situation where you have a creator who has done a lot of activism work? Yay! And also, for some reason, insist that they drew this image that very obviously they didn't draw because there's a synth ID in there. And for some reason, double down even more on it and post a traced speed paint. That doesn't make any sense to me because if for some reason you traced over this generated image and tried to pass it off as your own, there wouldn't be that synth ID in there. So how did that get clocked? That's just a weird thing to do. Does this one situation make them overall an absolutely awful person? No, it makes them somebody who made a questionable choice for some reason in this day and age on the internet. But again, this is something that I've seen a lot on the internet with creators where they would post AI images, claim they're not AI, and their audience will defend them to hell and high water. Like a situation where I show you this book cover and I'm like, yeah, this book cover is pink, and you guys would say, yes, please think for yourselves, okay? I don't want there to be a situation where I do something like this. Yeah, this is pink and all of you guys believe me, right? Critical thinking is a beautiful thing. And if your eyes and gut are telling you that something is wrong, even if you like a creator, you could kind of be like, hey, I think this is a little funny. I think this is a little suspicious. This is a little odd, right? That doesn't mean you should be bullying anybody. That doesn't mean you should be harassing anybody. But I think you can kind of use your own common sense and come to a conclusion that this one instance and this one claim this person is making is wrong. And people make mistakes, but in this one instance, it's a little funny. But at the end of the day, I always think it's very interesting as well when situations like this happen, because there was no need to AI generate an image as well to do the beauty transition they were doing, because they're clearly extremely pretty and they're clearly really good at doing makeup and hair and stuff. So like, I don't know why they couldn't have just maybe found an artist drawing they liked and asked the artist if they could use it with credit in that video for a transition. Found a picture of somebody whose makeup they liked and then asked for credit if they could use it in the video and tag them and do a transition. Like, why did it have to be an AI generated image? And then on top of that, why do you have to claim you made it? And I think that always gets very interesting because like a lot of people, especially with generative AI, they like to, I guess, like seem like they're able to do more because it's cool, you know? If you're able to draw well, people are like, wow, I didn't know you know how to draw. It makes you look cooler, right? It makes you feel good to hear those compliments. But if you can't do it, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you suck if you don't know how to draw. So I always think it's interesting when there was like a need to over-represent one's ability in doing things, right? Because it was just completely unnecessary, I feel like. That's just my 2 cents at the end of the day. Again, this is just one creator the most recent one that I've seen who has done this, but this is not the first creator I've seen who have done similar things where they've, again, for some reason, never posted art piece in their life, suddenly claimed they can draw, and people found a synth ID in it and was like, scratching their head about the whole situation. So anyways, what are your thoughts on this entire situation? Again, do not bully, do not contact, do not harass anybody. I can't emphasize this enough. Don't do that. That makes you weird, okay? I just wanted to do this as like a little social commentary because, you know, as generative AI becomes more popular, you're just gonna see more people do stuff like this. So it's always very, very interesting. But again, it doesn't mean this person as an individual is rotten to the core. It just means they made a really funny decision, okay? And then I guess lying about it afterwards, not great either. But you know what I mean, right? So would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. And with that, if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art there for streamers and creators. And on Coffee, I have free resources there. Try to get my Instagram to 100K. And I also have an alt YouTube channel that I make vlogs on and things like that and crafty videos because, you know, your girl likes to crochet. I'm crocheting a little something something that I can't say yet. I can't say what this is next week. So yippee. With that, I hope to catch you guys in my Twitch streams. I stream 3 days a week there or in another video. Peace.